We already use AI for all sorts of things. Forecasting the weather, predicting stock market trends, even guessing what movie we're going to want to watch next. But what happens when that predictive power gets so incredibly good that it's not a forecast anymore, but basically a fact? What if AI could actually tell us the future with absolute certainty? Let's dive into that. I mean, it's the ultimate question, right? For centuries, that's been stuff of fantasy and philosophy. But what if I told you it's not some far off hypothetical anymore? That's right. This isn't science fiction. A massive, real world project is happening right now, using AI to look deep into the lives of millions and predict their futures, right down to their final moments. So, how in the world is this even possible? Well, the answer is in this groundbreaking AI model that literally analyzed the entire life histories of millions of people. It's called Life to Vec. And a good way to think about it is, well, it's kind of like ChatGPT, but instead of being trained on all the text from the internet, it was trained on the life events of 6 million Danish citizens. The goal? To learn the language of a human life, so it can predict what comes next. And we are talking about an insane amount of detail. It looked at where you lived, your education, your entire career path, every single salary you've ever earned, and yep, every health diagnosis and hospital visit. The model takes all of this and organizes it, creating this sort of mathematical biography for every single person, all to find the hidden patterns that lead to certain life outcomes. Okay, so this isn't just about predicting individual lives. This same idea is being scaled way, way up to predict the future of entire cities using a concept called digital twins. And here's a perfect example of what that looks like. On the left, you've got the real, physical Punggol Digital District in Singapore. And on the right, that's its digital twin, a dynamic virtual copy that mirrors the real city in real time. So here's the breakdown of how it works. First, you build that virtual replica. Then, you feed it a non-stop stream of live data from thousands of sensors, measuring everything from traffic and energy use to you name it. Finally, you let the AI run all kinds of simulations on this model to test different scenarios, like what if they added a new bus line right here? It lets city planners see the future impact of a decision before a single brick is ever laid. Now, this all sounds incredible, right? Saving lives, building better cities. I mean, who wouldn't want that? But this rush toward a perfectly predictable future has some really deep and, frankly, dangerous flaws. And it starts with the fact that, a lot of the time, we have no clue how these AIs are making their decisions. This is what people in the field call the black box problem. The AI gives us a prediction, but its internal logic is so complex, it's totally opaque to us. We can't see its reasoning, we can't question its assumptions, and that makes it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to truly trust. And this quote from a US soldier just hits the nail on the head. In any high-stakes situation, whether it's the military or a hospital operating room, because the computer said so is just not good enough, not when lives are on the line. Real trust requires understanding, and that's exactly what the black box takes away from us. And this isn't some theoretical problem for the future. It's happening right now. In the US justice system, an AI called Compass is used to generate a risk score predicting how likely a defendant is to commit another crime. Okay, so here's where it gets really messy. An investigation by ProPublica found that the tools showed a clear bias against people of color, but the developer, Northpoint, defended it, saying it was totally neutral. So, how can both of those things be true? Well, it's because they were using two completely different definitions of fairness. ProPublica was looking for a predictive parity, which means a risk score of 7 should mean the exact same thing for a black defendant as for a white defendant. Northpoint, on the other hand, focused on equalized odds, which just means the model's error rate is the same across different groups. Here's the kicker. It is mathematically impossible to satisfy both of those definitions at the same time. You have to pick one. This shows that AI doesn't get rid of human bias. Sometimes it just hides it inside a black box. But what if the problem is even weirder than the AI being wrong? What if the very act of making a prediction, even an incorrect one, can actually make it come true? Yeah, researchers have found this really dangerous feedback loop. It works like this. An algorithm makes a prediction about you. Then you find out about that prediction. And then, whether you realize it or not, that knowledge starts to influence your behavior, nudging you towards the very thing that was predicted. As one study put it, the algorithm literally helps produce the world it predicts. And this effect is very real. In one experiment, researchers discovered that just by telling people their algorithmic scores, the model's predictions became 19.4% more accurate. Think about that. Not because the AI got smarter, but because people started to conform to the label they were given. The prophecy fulfilled itself. So when you start to combine all these issues, you see this really strange future begin to take shape. One where prediction doesn't just describe our reality, it actually starts to dictate it. And this is already happening in what are called prediction markets. You know, when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged, a market popped up almost immediately with odds on whether they'd actually get married by the end of the year. That's fun, whatever. But now apply that to your own life. Imagine a hiring manager checking the odds of a recession in your industry before deciding whether to hire you. Suddenly, your personal choices are being filtered through this weird algorithmic consensus of total strangers. This quote, it just captures the chilling effect perfectly. The odds become not just a reflection of possibility, but a gravitational field around the will. It means the probabilities stop being about what might happen and instead become this powerful force, this gravity, that literally pulls our decisions into line. We stop choosing freely and we just start complying with the odds. And all of this leads us to our final and maybe most important question. In this race to eliminate every last bit of uncertainty from our lives, what exactly are we giving up? Think about it. If an AI can tell you with certainty that a war is unavoidable, or that an economic crash is definitely coming, or that your own dream is guaranteed to fail, do you really have any free will left? Or does knowing the future just trap you inside it? Does our agency, our ability to forge our own path, just evaporate? Do we just become actors in a play where the script has already been written for us by an algorithm that knows us better than we know ourselves? So I'll just leave you with this question. If you were offered a book containing the complete, perfectly accurate story of your life from tomorrow until your very last day, would you open it? Would you want that certainty? Or is the freedom to not know, the freedom to live in a world of pure possibility, the most valuable thing we actually